So how do you find the inverse of a function? How do you find the inverse? We said it in class 2 or 3 times today. Hopefully you remember you find the inverse by switching x and y. How do you find the inverse of a graph? Well, you switch x and y and you plot the new points. How do you find the inverse of a table? Well, you switch x and y. Then is it logical that you would find the inverse of an equation by switching x and y? Hopefully yes. Okay? So what if you have an equation like this? Y equals x minus 6. How would you find the inverse of this equation? Well, you would switch x and y, like that, and then solve for y. How do you get this y by itself? Add 6, x plus 6 equals y, so y equals x plus 6. Done. And you're thinking, wait, it has to be harder than that. No, it doesn't. That's how hard it is. Okay? There's problems that have several more steps, like this one. I'm going to write in pen because I realize you may not be able to see that very clearly. Y equals 2x plus 8. Well, first, let's switch x and y. And now let's solve for y. Well, first I have to subtract 8 from both sides and get x minus 8 equals 2y. How do I get y by itself? What's the 2 doing to the y? It's multiplying, so I divide. If I divide this side by 2, I also have to divide this side by 2. Okay? Two different ways to think about this right now. Okay? First of all, this right here is a perfectly acceptable answer. X minus 8 over 2 is perfectly fine. Some of you can go that extra step and actually divide each term by 2. And if you do that, you get y equals 1/2 x minus 4. See, 1 divided by 2 is 1/2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Or negative 8 divided by 2. Okay? Another example. Y equals 3, let me write that a little darker. Y equals 3/4 x plus 12. Now, most of you are thinking, oh, it's a fraction, I'm done. I'm not doing it. Yes, you are. I'm the boss. Okay? Same thing. How do you find the inverse of this? Well, switch x and y. X equals 3/4 times y plus 12. Solve for y. First, let's subtract 12 from both sides. We get x minus 12 equals 3/4 y. We don't ever we don't ever divide by fractions. We always multiply by the reciprocals. So if I multiply this side of the equations by 4/3, then I have to multiply this side of the equations by 4/3. 4 times 3 is 12, 3 times 4 is 12, 12 divided by 12 is 1. I just get y. This side. First of all, 4/3 times x minus 12 is a perfectly acceptable answer. Okay? But again, some of you can see if I distribute this 4/3 here and 4/3 here, I will get y equals 4/3 x minus 4/3 times 12 over 1. Well, that's 48 over 3, or we can simplify to begin with and get 16. Okay? Last question really quick. Y equals negative 2x plus 5. How do I get the inverse of this function, or this equation? Switch x and y. Okay, x and y are switched. Now I just have to solve for y. I have to isolate the y. So if I subtract 5 from both sides, I get x minus 5 equals negative 2y. Divide both sides by a negative 2 this time, because I've got to get y all the way by itself. Not negative y, but y. If I divide that side by negative 2, I have to divide this side by negative 2. Once again, x minus 5 divided by negative 2 is a perfectly acceptable answer. However, some of you can see that if I divide each term by negative 2, I would get y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5/2. This is a negative 5 divided by negative 2. That would give me a positive 5/2. So tell me one more time. How do you find the inverse? You switch x and y. Okay? Fill out your WISC, your questions after the video, and I will see you tomorrow.